And again, welcome to the Bible Christians of God. Those of you joining us live stream and those of you joining us on YouTube, I'd like to say welcome to born again believers, those of you born again by the word, and those of you seeking to learn the word of God in truth and sincerity. Today we continue with our dispensation lesson, dispensations of the Holy Bible. Last week we dealt with four of the first dispensations that were under Adam to Moses. And today we're picking it up from, but last week, this is kind of recap so everybody tracking, last week was the introduction, plus we dealt with the first 1, 2, 3 dispensations, okay? So we dealt last week, or in the first part, 1, Adam to Noah, Noah to Abraham, and Abraham to Moses. Today we're picking it up from Moses to Jerusalem's captivity, or you can say the age of the kings. As I have this chart beside me, and there's a couple other charts I'm going to bring up as we go through this lesson. So today we're dealing with dispensation of the Bible from Moses to the age of the kings, or you can say to Jerusalem. And what's significant about this dispensation is we're going to read Romans 5 and 14 just to get a good fix. And let's go to Romans 5 and 14. Romans 5 and 14. And they got a lot to get out under this dispensation and the other one. And we're going to take these dispensations clean beyond us today, y'all. There are a lot of things in the introduction we broke down that in every age, everything is not known. The Lord is constantly, He's building our understanding of Him as we go through His creation, okay? Because we are the creature. He is the creator. So there's certain things the Lord is revealing, and He's steady processing us through the creation. And like I said, the one we're dealing with today, we're dealing with dispensation number 4. Dispensation number 4, Moses to the age of the kings. And hopefully we can get through 2 more. I'm going to take my time and I'm going to rush through this because I've seen the Gentiles try to deal with this thing. And it just simply, trust me, they got a few things right, but the priest of God, we're here to set it straight. And that's what the priest of God do. We straight up come out this book and let the book speak. So Romans 5 and verse 12. Romans 5 and, verse 14. And this is the reason why we're starting today, part 4, dispensation number 4. So I'll read.
Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come.
Now look, death stopped at Moses, which means what Moses tells us, or what's written in the first 5 books, you got to pay attention in the creation. You got to pay attention to what the Lord told Moses. I like to use this to show, because you got some people that say, well, you know, the book of Enoch. Look, and Enoch is alive. No, it said death reigned from Adam to Moses, which means Enoch is dead, and that the book of Enoch does not stop death. So we have to hear what Moses wrote and be mindful of what he said. So that's why we're starting at dispensation number 4 and point out how significant this is. We're going to get into some key markers. So make sure you got down dispensation 4, Moses to the age of the kings. Or you can say Moses to Jerusalem being established. So what I'm going to do is go to St. John 5 and 46. Because death stopped at Moses for a reason, y'all. And we're going to see that in the dispensation that when Moses came up, we're going to see that the church came into existence. We're going to see that the Lord started requiring a holy gathering when He set up His church. He even reiterated the name of God for the church. And then He added some things in place of killing people. He started the animal sacrifice requirement when He set up the church, which is pointing toward why Jesus had to sacrifice Himself. So in that first church, which Moses brought forth and established in the wilderness, we're going to look at why it's so important to understand and believe Moses. St. John 4 and 46. St. John 4th chapter, verse 46. You get it? Read.
So Jesus came again and came.
Sorry, 5. Yeah, 5 and 46. St. John 5 and 46. Read.
For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me.
Now wait a minute now. Jesus told you, for had you believed Moses, not the book of Enoch, because he said, for had you believed, if you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. See, go ahead.
But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words?
So notice he says, but if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Because Moses had writings. The first 5 books were written by Moses, except for his obituary. And he wrote of Christ. So we can't dismiss Moses' writings because we believe in Jesus. Because if you throw Moses in the garbage can, you just threw Jesus in the garbage can. If Moses don't mean nothing to you, Jesus really don't mean nothing to you. It is simple as that, what we just read. Now let's go to show you the significance a little deeper for this dispensation. Let's go to Exodus 24th chapter. Show the importance of Moses. Exodus 24 and Exodus 24th chapter and verse 1. Exodus 24 and 1. Read.
And he said unto Moses, come up unto the Lord, thou and Aaron, and Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him.
Now notice it said, and Moses alone shall come near the Lord. This is Jesus in his first glory, actually. Okay? We just got to read what Jesus said Moses wrote of me. Okay? He was talking about Jesus, but this is in his first glory. But they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. Go ahead.
And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord, all the judgments. All the people answered with one voice and said all the words which the Lord hath said we will do.
Now notice all the words that the Lord has said that Moses wrote, the people said we will do. That's how death stopped at Moses. So if you're going to run off into those little lost books, you know, the book of Enoch and all of that, this is what we are to hear. And these are the words which the Lord has said. And they said, all the words which the Lord has said, we will do. Who brought this to them, y'all? Moses. That's how death stopped at Moses. When we read earlier Romans 5th chapter, he going.
And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord.
See, Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, not Enoch. Because he was dead, he died, it was done. But the book said Moses wrote all the words of the Lord. Go ahead.
And rose up in the morning and built an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel.
Now skip down to verse, no, keep going, I want to skip that. Go ahead.
And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. He took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people.
Whoa, he took the what?
Book of the covenant.
He took the book of the covenant. That's what we got right now. This is the book of the covenant. Because those that don't want to deal with no covenant, they don't want to deal with no book. Troy, they do not want to deal with no book. Because you throw the covenant out, you might as well throw the book out. And anyway, that's another train of thought, but let's keep here. Let's stay here. He took the book of the covenant and he read in the audience of the people like we read now. I read to you. We're reading. That's what we're doing. Go ahead.
And they said, all that the Lord has said will we do, and be obedient.
Yes, sir.
And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, Behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words.
See, look, this is the blood of the covenant, which God had enjoined to the children of Israel at that time, y'all. Okay? Now watch this. Let's go and see what the Lord was really setting up here. Let's go to Acts, the 7th chapter. Acts 7 and 36. This is a new dispensation for the children of Israel. How new? Watch this. Acts 7 and 36. Talking about Moses. Acts 7 and 36. Read. Yeah.
He brought them out after that he had showed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt and in the Red Sea and in the wilderness 40 years. This is that Moses which said unto the children of Israel, A prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren like unto me. Him shall ye hear.
Now that's talking about Jesus. That's why Jesus said Moses wrote of me. That's how we know this is talking about Jesus. Go ahead.
This is that Moses which said unto the children of Israel. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness.
Whoa, stop. This is he that was in the church in Egypt. No, it didn't say in Egypt. It didn't say in bondage. It didn't say none of that. Did it? Read that one more time.
This is he that was in the church in the wilderness, with the angel which spake to him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers who received the lively oracles to give unto us.
So now we see why the church, why death stopped at Moses. Because with Moses, the church was set up in the what? The wilderness to give life. To give life. Give lively oracles. That thing which will make the people of God alive unto him. And then he said, one thing I want to make sure we key on is that this is he, talking about Moses, that was in the what? Church. And remember we read earlier, the blood of the covenant is what he made with these people. Just like now we're under the blood of Jesus to be in the new covenant. We get to that dispensation, no, that's coming up. But we're dealing with dispensation number 4. Now let's look at a couple other key things. Let's go and see what else happened to this church in the wilderness that had not happened before. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 10th chapter. And verse 1. This is the Bible speak. Let it tell that which we need to believe in. Like the last time I read, the book said faith comes by hearing, hearing by the what? Word of God. This is faith building. That's all we want to be about, building your faith in the Word of God so that the Word of God can be in you. 1 Corinthians 10 and 1. Because the first dispensation number 4, there was no church before Israel went into Egypt. There was no church while they were in Egypt, in bondage. Let me put it like that. Now they was in bondage in Egypt. But when they became free, they became the church. That's what the Feast of Unleavened Bread is about. That is what the Feast of Unleavened Bread is about. But that's another lesson. So here we go. The first night, rather about being free and being the church. So now, what did he do to this church? Let's see what God did to this church via Moses. 1 Corinthians 10, and why death ran from Adam to Moses. Why did it stop? Watch this. 1 Corinthians 10 and 1. Read.
Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea.
Oh, wait, but they were all baptized to who? To Moses. The church got baptized. That's why when you come to a church now, it's real clear. Now you decide, hey, I wonder if I want to get baptized or not at this church. Well, that ain't the first time it came up. It was under this dispensation number 4 that the Lord had instituted the church in the wilderness, and he baptized them so that they may be the church and become a part of the church that God set up, starting in the wilderness. Okay? And this is under the first covenant, the old covenant. And we're going to see that we're going to identify a few other things concerning that. But look, what I want to do is to show you how on par this thing is. Let's go to Revelation 15 chapter and verse 3. Revelation 15 and 3. Because the time is going to come when you got to be capable of singing the song of Moses and the Lamb. You just got to be running around talking about, I got the Lamb song. You got to have the song of Moses and the Lamb. Revelation 15 chapter and verse 3. Revelation 15 and 3. Read.
And they sing the song of Moses. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty, just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints.
Notice he said, thy King of saints. Because we're going to find out under the dispensation, that's why he set the church up to establish his saints. Saints been here, y'all, long time, y'all. Long time, I'm putting it like that. So under this fourth dispensation, the one that began, ended death, and Moses is the one that ended that. Because he did what? He wrote all the words that the Lord had given him. And he read the book, and he brought in the blood covenant, and he had a song that we got to learn, we got to know, both Moses' song and the Lamb song, and there was a baptism of the church, y'all. So now let's go look at under this fourth dispensation, what else got instituted. Let's go to Leviticus 23 and 1. Leviticus 23 and 1. So these are key markers for dispensation 4 under Moses. And we're going to take it out all the way out to the age of the kings. Because Israel was in the wilderness 40 years. And guess what, y'all? Unfortunately, only 2 adults made it out, and the children, y'all. So, being in the church of God, only 2 of them made it out. That means only two of them paid attention, y'all. Because we can go read, because they had another spirit on them, y'all. But what we got to pay attention to is this, y'all. Let's go to Leviticus 23 and verse 1. Leviticus 23 and verse 1. Read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be the holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
Now this is a statute within the first 5 books that God had given Moses, or Moses had wrote, or in the writings of Moses, that the Lord had feasts in his church. That's what his church deal with. His church deal with feasts. And they were baptized. So now we're seeing, hey, he said these are the feasts of the Lord. We could say simply the feast of Jesus. But for just to tantalize some of my Hebrew brothers, you could say the feast of Yahweh, or Yahweh, because Jesus is Yahweh. But anyway, move right along. He said here, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. So God's church know that the Lord has feasts. Go ahead.
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. And the holy convocation, ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
Now this is what the church dealt with. That they dealt with having a holy convocation on today, the Lord's Day, and they say it is the Sabbath of the Jews. Now, it is, I could just simply say, it's the Sabbath of Jesus. Because Jesus said Moses wrote to me. Okay? But for typical purposes, hey, we can say the Sabbath of Yah in all your dwellings, okay? So, here we go. Continue.
These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season.
Now he's going to the seasons, because the one we just got to come through is the same one he came down and pronounced in Exodus 20th chapter. Okay? Matter of fact, no, keep going, because we're going to get there. So this is what he put in his church, y'all. Go ahead.
In the 14th day of the first month, at evening is the Lord's Passover.
So So his church dealt with his Passover. Go ahead.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread. And the first day ye shall have it in holy convocation. You shall do no sort of work therein. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day is in holy convocation. You shall do no sort of work therein.
So now the Lord's church had the Passover on the 14th day. Then he turned around and had on the 15th day, he had what's called the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You eat for 7 days. This didn't exist. Abraham had to deal with this. Isaac didn't have to deal with this. Jacob didn't have to deal with this. When God set up his church in the wilderness, his church has to deal with this. If you're in his church. Now, skip down to verse, because you got the wave offering that's in here. Go ahead. Keep going.
And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I gave unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord, to be accepted for you. On the morrow, after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. And you shall offer that day, when ye wave the sheaf, and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord.
So now this is the wave offering, okay, which is held within the Feast of Unleavened Bread, y'all, because the lamb without blemish is pointing toward Jesus, which is the unleavened bread, y'all. But this wave offering is a deep set. I ain't gonna go into this right now, but I'm just listing all the things the Lord have here in Leviticus 23rd chapter. So now, skip down to verse 15.
And ye shall come unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheep of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
So from the wave offering, when you count on the morrow after the Sabbath, you count 7 Sabbaths. 7 times 7 is what? 49 plus 1 is what? 50. That's what the Pentecost really means. Pentecost means 50. Okay, 50 days from when you wave the wave offering, which is Jesus. He's an unleavened bread. That's why you got to count from the unleavened bread. Jesus is not full of leaven. He is unleavened. That's why he even said 3 times in a year, shall all our males appear before thee in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Pentecost, and the Tabernacle. All of that point to Jesus. Jesus is unleavened bread. Jesus is the witness, the power that we need to be Jesus' witnesses. And his tabernacle, we must dwell in his tabernacle, and we must be the tabernacle of the Lord. That's why it's all connected, y'all. But look, let's get down, all the way down. I'm going to go all the way down. 21.
And ye shall proclaim it on the self-same day, that it may be in holy convocation unto you. You shall do no sort of work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings, in all your generations.
Now, did we read verse 16? Did we go to verse 16? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, let's back up. Read verse 16. Because after you done did 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Sorry about that, y'all. Read verse 16.
Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
So that's from the wave offering, y'all. You count 50 days out, pow. Just give you even tomorrow after the 7th Sabbath shall you number 50 days. That's the total number of days from the wave offering. Okay? Because Jesus is that unleavened bread, y'all. And he is without sin, he's without blemish. That's why I said a he lamb without blemish. Who's that without blemish, y'all? Come on. Jesus, that's how he's called the Holy One of Israel. And the Feast of Unleavened Bread means without leaven, without sin. No sin, y'all. All day long. So now after you number 50 days, now read that verse 21.
And ye shall proclaim on the same day, that it may be in holy convocation unto you. You shall do no sort of work therein. It should be a statute forever in all your dwellings, throughout your generations.
Now skip down to verse 23.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, and the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation.
Now remember, Israel didn't have to deal with this while they was in bondage in Egypt. That's how we know this is another dispensation. This is another charge. This is another appointment that the Lord was setting up in his church. Okay? After he brought them out of Egypt. Skip down to verse 26.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there should be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is the day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. For whatsoever soul be that shall not be afflicted in the same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
So we have to be afflicting our souls on the 10th day of the 7th month. Okay? We have to be doing that. He said, whatever soul will not be afflicted, he shall be cut off from among his people. Go ahead.
And ye should do no work in that same day, for it is an atonement to make. And ye should do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in the same day, he should be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in the same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people.
Yes, sir.
Ye should do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings.
This is what God told his church. And he set up in the wilderness. That's where we laying this down. They didn't have this while they was in Egypt. Again, Noah had to deal with this. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. No, they did not. This is his church. And this is why death stopped. He giving the things that stop death. That's how we must deal with this. To omit this, that means you ain't stopping death. Okay? Because Moses wrote these things. Go ahead.
It should be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. And the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. So
the Lord showed us here how he started his day. So sundown on the 9th day, which is evening, that's why evening in the morning is the first day. When you go read Genesis chapter 1, it starts at evening, not in the daytime, but at even, from even shall you celebrate your Sabbath. Keep going.
And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles, for 7 days unto the Lord.
For 8 days unto the Lord. What did it say?
It says, for 7 days unto the Lord.
It says 7 days, not 8 days, huh? Feast of Tabernacles, 7 days. I just want to make sure we're reading that right. It said the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days for the 15th day of the 7th month. Go ahead.
On the first day shall be an holy convocation. You shall do no sort of work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no sort of work therein. Oh, so he told his church 7 days, which he just got to reiterate from what he said, the Feast of Tabernacles. For 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And then the Lord inserted something for the church to do. On what? On the 8th day. Why didn't they just put all the fire together, y'all? Anyway, that's another lesson. But go and see what we see clearly here is the Lord talking about judgment. That's simply what the Lord is pointing to. But I don't want to go off because we deal with dispensations. And the point here I'm trying to make it focus on is 7 days you shall offer offering made by fire to the Lord. That's the tabernacles. That's what the Lord's church do, the tabernacles for 7 days. And then on the 8th day you have a solemn assembly because that fire is different from the ones that you burned 7 days prior to that. So now watch how the Lord reiterates. Go ahead. Verse 37. These are the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, burnt offering and meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon his day.
Oh, it's his day, huh? So we talking about the Lord's day. You know what I said? Oh, on the Lord's day. Well, we just got to read everything upon what? His day. So all of these things we read on the Lord's day, y'all. Go ahead.
Beside the Sabbath of the Lord, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye give unto the Lord.
So it's also a time of giving gifts. That's why he said, besides your vows, and besides all your free will offerings, and besides your gifts. That's why when they come up with Christmas, they just straight corrupted and just took out the good parts of the Lord's feast and made it their own, y'all. But anyway, but he's going to go right back into his Feast of Tabernacles. Go ahead. Verse 39.
Also, in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, you should keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days.
8 days.
7 days.
It said what?
7 days.
Say that one more time.
7 days.
7 days we feast, y'all. That 8th day ain't no food feast. That flesh that's burning on the 8th day. Ooh, you don't want to be part of that flesh burning on the 8th day. Anyway, so he said 7 days. On the first day, go ahead.
On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath.
Yes, sir.
And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of godly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of fig trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days.
8 days.
7 days.
8 days.
7 days.
The book says 7 days of rejoicing, y'all. Because when you're looking at that fire on the 8th day, that represents somebody burning. And it ain't going to be a pretty thing, y'all, when they burn it on the 8th day. So we rejoice for 7 days, not 8 days, y'all. Okay, go ahead.
And you should keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days of the year. There should be a statute forever in your generations. You should celebrate in the 7th month. You should dwell in the booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths.
Now, in this dispensation, Israel had to dwell in booths. Because he made sure you understood all that are what? Israelite born. That's physical. Physical Israel. You physical Israel, you are supposed to dwell in booths under this dispensation for 7 days. But look, let's go and pick it up where he also mentions it again. Let's go to Numbers 28th chapter. The Lord didn't just put it in Leviticus 23rd. He reiterated, so we're going to be like this as if we never left. So let's go to Numbers, the 28th chapter. Numbers 28 and verse 28, and this time we just going to focus on what this chapter is focusing on, and it's actually laying out all of the days and burnt offerings here in this chapter, number 28. Well, let's go to Numbers 28 and 16. Actually, hold on, my bad. Hold on. I think I actually need to start at verse 9. Let's start on verse 9. Numbers 28 and 9. Because remember, it says, 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou art not to do any work therein. But look what's supposed to happen in this number 28 chapter 2. Go ahead.
And on the Sabbath day, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, and 2 tenth deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil and drink offering thereof. This is the burnt offering of every Sabbath, beside the continual burnt offering and his drink offering.
Oh, so there was a burnt offering also done on this day, on the Sabbath day. So that not to kindle fire in your dwellings, that's for you in your house. But when you come to the Holy Convocation, there was a burnt offering there, y'all, for the Holy Gathering. Because you know how people like to come to food. You think about it, you got food there, spot, you ain't got to cook. And it's good. How many people gonna show up, y'all? Y'all, you already know. Then, let's get down to verse 16, because he went into the lunar. That's verse 11. Read verse 11, just for, so then I think we're trying to avoid anything. So now he goes into the lunar calendar. Verse 11.
And in the beginning of your month, ye shall offer a burnt offering unto the Lord, 2 young bullocks, one ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot. So
now we see at the beginning of the month, there was a burnt offering. That's the lunar calendar, okay? Now let's get down to verse 16.
And in the 14th day of the first month is the Passover of the Lord. And in the 15th day of this month is the feast. 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten. Now
look, it looks like we read Leviticus 23rd chapter all over again, ain't it? Don't it? So look, let's go to, hold this spot. And let's go to Deuteronomy 16. Show you what God gave his church under this dispensation. Deuteronomy 16 and verse 1. Deuteronomy 16, and we're going to read verse 1. This is what God gave his church, y'all. And this is dispensation number 4. This is what stopped death. Paying attention to this stuff right here. Deuteronomy 16 and verse 1. Read.
Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
Now notice, he said, observe the month Abib. When he set up his church, that's what he said, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. So what day on the month of Abib are we supposed to keep this? Let's go back. And go back to Numbers 28th chapter. And just read Numbers 28:16 again.
And in the 14th day of the first month is the Passover of the Lord.
So now what month are we talking about, y'all? Abib. Abib. So now let's go to Numbers 29 and verse 7. No, I'm sorry. I'm skipping. I don't want to skip it. So we talked about the unleavened bread. So let's skip down to all the way down to verse 26. Read that.
But ye shall offer the burnt offering for a sweet savor.
26.
Also in the day of the first fruits, when ye bring a new meat offering to the Lord after your weeks be out.
That's the key. After you count your weeks. So from counting your weeks from the wave offering, after your weeks be out, Leviticus 23rd chapter told us, you should number 50 days. Then he said what? You should have a what?
Ye shall have a holy convocation. You should also of our work.
So now there we go again. We shall have a holy convocation. The Pentecost, the Passover, all these things we acknowledgement of the wave offering, and we just got through reading earlier the Passover, we went unleavened bread. We just got through reading about after your weeks be out, which is the Pentecost. So now let's go to Numbers 29th chapter. And verse 1.
And in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall have a holy convocation. You should do no sort of our work. It is a day of blowing the trumpets unto you.
Also, now he said, also in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no service by work. It is a day of blowing the trumpets unto you. Now, this is part of the Lord's set feast. How do I know that? Let's skip all the way down to verse 7. We're going to get there. Because it's like we're repeating verse 6. Skip down to verse 6. Because he already told you about the lunars. But this right here is showing you why the first day of the 7th month ain't the same as the lunar, y'all. That's a different lesson, but I want to point out something here. Verse 6, read.
Beside the burnt offering of the month and his meat offering, and the daily burnt offering, and his meat offering, and their drink offerings, according unto their manner for a sweet savor, a sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord.
Notice that the Lord didn't say, this is the burnt offering of the month. If the first day of the 7th month was under the Lord's feast, was based on a lunar. He didn't say that. He said, besides, it's already passed, y'all. So it's not the same. The first day of the 7th month, according to the set feast, is not the same as the first day of the 7th month when you follow lunars. There's a 3-day difference, y'all. But continue, verse 7.
And ye shall have on the 10th day of this 7th month a holy convocation, and ye shall afflict your souls. Ye shall not do any work therein. But ye shall offer a burnt offering unto the Lord for a sweet savor, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, and 7 lambs of the first year. They shall be unto you without blemish.
Now look, on this day of atonement, you don't eat this. You do not eat on the day of affliction. But he said, a holy convocation, and you afflict your souls. But now, let's skip down to verse 15. I'm sorry, verse 12. I'm looking at 15 day. We skip down to verse 12. Read.
And on the 15th day of the 7th month, you shall have a holy convocation, Ye should do no servile work, and ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days.
It says 7 days. This is talking about the Feast of Tabernacles. I wonder how people get 8 days of feast anyway. But look, now let's get all the way down to verse 35. Go ahead.
On the 8th day ye shall have a solemn assembly.
Oh, notice he said you should have a solemn assembly on the 8th day. Solemn meaning very grim, very serious, without smile, without mirth. Because the flesh that's burning on the 8th day represents judgment day. But that's another lesson. See, our 8th day lesson, I'll go thoroughly into that point. But finish that. Go ahead. Go ahead. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Ye shall do no servile work therein. But ye shall offer a burnt offering, a sacrifice made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. 1 bullock, 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year, without blemish. Their meat offering and their drink offering for the bullock, for the ram, and for the lambs shall be according to their number after the manner.
Because your flesh got to be there on the 8th day, because this is actually pointing to the part of the covenant that God gave with Abraham. He that's 8 days old must be what? Circumcised. And on the 8th day, it's got to be flesh there to be circumcised, or you ain't fulfilling the covenant. That's why it said meat is on this day. But this meat, you don't sit there and eat. This represents people burning, y'all. But anyway, but look, keep going, continue.
And 1 goat for a sin offering, beside the continual burnt offering and his meat offerings and his drink offering. These things you should do unto the Lord, your set feast.
In your what feast?
In your set feast.
In your what feast?
Your set feast.
Set feast, y'all. This is what the Lord gave his church. They set from where? Abib. I'll go thoroughly into that. It's set from Abib. Because to set something means you done already prearranged it. And there's a fixed point to which you set the feast from. That's why he gave his church Abib. So go ahead.
For your burnt offerings, and for your meat offerings, and for your drink offerings, and for your peace offerings. Moses told the children of Israel according to all that the Lord commanded Moses.
Yes, sir. So now let's go look at another key marker in this dispensation under Moses. The reiteration of the Lord's name. Let's go to Exodus 6 and 2. Exodus 6 chapter. And watch what God tells Moses. Watch what the Lord tells Moses. Exodus 6. Because he's uttered several names, but this is what makes this dispensation different from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's. Exodus 6 and verse 2. Read.
And God spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am the Lord, and I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, by the name of God Almighty. But by my name Jehovah was I not known.
Oh, wait a minute. So now this is a marker, y'all, for crossing over to another dispensation. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they didn't know him by the name of what? Jehovah. They called him by the name of God Almighty. But he said, but by my name Jehovah was I not known to them. Go ahead.
And I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, who the Egyptians keep in bondage. And I have remembered my covenant.
Yes, sir.
Wherefore I say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage. And I will redeem you with the stretched out arm.
Yes, sir.
So the great judgment.
Yes, sir.
And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you a God, and ye should know that I am the Lord your God, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you in unto the land concerning the which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it to you. For an inheritance, I am the Lord.
Now look, let's back up in the same Exodus and understand why he set this church up in the wilderness, why he gave all of this stuff concerning holy convocations and all these days that he didn't give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's understand what was really going on. Let's go to Exodus 4th chapter. And we're going to go to verse 22. Exodus 4 and 22. Read.
And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn.
Yes, sir.
And I said unto thee, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn.
So they couldn't stay in Egypt to serve God. They had to come out and become the what? The church. Now let's get down to chapter 5, rather. Let's go to chapter 5 and verse 1.
And afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness.
Oh, so that means you serving God when you keeping a feast? Amen. They couldn't stay in bondage? So if you're not keeping the feast of the Lord, you ain't even in this church. You ain't even close. Because you must serve the Lord God if you want salvation. That's what the Lord was giving them. This is what caused death to stop at Moses. At Moses, y'all. That's why it said death reigned from Adam to what? To Moses. So they started keeping the feast. The Lord was giving them life because they had come out of bondage. Now let's go to Exodus 20th chapter. Exodus 20th chapter. And start at verse 1. 20th chapter and verse 1. Read.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
See, this is giving us life, y'all. That's why death stopped at Moses. And Jesus said, Moses wrote to me, if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? This is why death stopped. Under this dispensation, he had brought Israel out of the house of bondage. No, he said, I am the Lord thy God, which had brought thee out of the land of Egypt and out of the house of bondage. When the Lord brought them out and put them in the wilderness, they became his what? Church. He started getting them his feasts. He gave him his observances. He gave him his holy convocation statutes. And death ceased to dominate them. At least that's what the Lord wanted to put Israel on. We're going to see Israel refuse life and chose death, y'all. We're going to see that as we go through this lesson. So now, let's go to and see what else the Lord did under this dispensation. He took a people from amongst a people. He took the Levites. He set up a Levitical priesthood. Let's go to Numbers 8th chapter. Numbers 8th chapter. This priesthood did not exist until after they came out of Egypt. Now we read last week, the worlds are framed by the word of God. There's a picture that the Lord is stacking or drawing for us that we may see what he's doing with his creation. Numbers 8 and verse 5. Numbers 8, and this is what he did to the sons of Levi. Numbers 8 and verse 5. Read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take Levites from among the children of Israel, and cleanse
them. So now he got a tribe that he taken from amongst the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And there shalt thou do unto them to cleanse them, sprinkle water of purifying upon them, and let them shave all their flesh, and let them wash their clothes, and so make themselves clean.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Then let them take a young bullock with his meat offerings, even fine flour mingled with oil, and another young bullock shalt thou take for a sin offering. And thou shalt bring the Levites before the tabernacle of the congregation, and thou shalt gather the whole assembly of the children of Israel together. And thou shalt bring the Levites before the Lord.
Now look, he bringing his whole tribe, one tribe, before the children of Israel, the whole assembly, and thou shalt bring the Levites before the Lord. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel shall put their hands upon the Levites.
Look what the church was doing, y'all. They's putting their hands, the whole assembly, the children of Israel, and it said, and the children of Israel shall put their hands upon the Levites. And do what?
And Aaron shall offer the Levites before the Lord for an offering of the children of Israel.
Yes, sir.
That they may execute the service of the Lord.
Oh, that they may execute the service of God. So within the church, the Lord breaking down. Now he's showing you the priest. Within the priest. Why can I say that? Hold this spot and let's go to Exodus 19 chapter. Exodus, hold that spot. Let's go to Exodus 19 chapter. And verse 3. Because it tells us after they came out of the land of Egypt, looking at the church. Exodus 19 and 3. Read.
And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
See, this is when they became the church in the wilderness. He baptized them, gave him his holy convocation statutes, gave him his feast days. He said, you should be a kingdom of priests unto me. Now let's go back to that Numbers and read verse 11.
And Aaron shall offer the Levites before the Lord for an offering of the children of Israel, that they may execute the service of the Lord.
So now he had broken down even within. Now he used the Levites to execute the service of the Lord. Go ahead.
And the Levites shall lay their hands upon the heads of the bullocks, and thou shalt offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering unto the Lord, to make an atonement for the Levites. And thou shalt set the Levites before Aaron and before his sons, and offer them for an offering unto the Lord. Thus shalt thou separate the Levites from among the children of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine.
Now notice it said, and the Levites shall be whose? The Lord's. Lord had never done that before. He didn't do that with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Children of Israel was in bondage in Egypt for 400 years. The Lord came out, used Moses to deliver them, brought them made his church. Now from amongst flesh, even his kingdom of priests, he had taken a tribe. He said, and the Levites shall be mine. Go ahead, verse 15.
And after that shall the Levites go and after that shall the Levites go in to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and thou shalt cleanse them and offer them for an offering, and for they are holy, given unto me from among the children of Israel, instead of such as every womb, even instead of the firstborn of all the children of Israel have I taken them unto thee. For all the firstborn of the children of Israel are mine, both man and beast. On the day that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified them for myself.
Yes, sir.
And I have taken the Levites for all the firstborn of the children of Israel.
Yes, sir.
And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and to his sons from among the children of Israel to do the service of the children of Israel and the tabernacle of the congregation, and to make an atonement for the children of Israel, that there be no plague among the children of Israel when the children of Israel come nigh unto the sanctuary. And Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel did to the Levites according to all that the Lord commanded Moses concerning the Levites. So did the children of Israel unto them.
Yes, sir.
And the Levites were purified, and they washed their clothes, and Aaron offered them as an offering before the Lord. And Aaron made an atonement for them to cleanse them. And after that went the Levites into to do their service in the tabernacle of the congregation before Aaron and before his sons, as the Lord had commanded Moses concerning the Levites, so did they unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, that this is that belongeth unto the Levites.
Now we're going specifically on the Levites. The Lord will set a criteria here. Watch this. From what?
From 20 and 5 years old and upward, they should go into wait upon the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. And from the age of 50 years, they shall cease waiting upon the service thereof, and shall serve no more, and shall minister with their brethren in the tabernacle of the congregation, to keep it charged, and shall do no service. Thus shalt thou do unto the Levites touching their charge.
See, thus shalt thou do unto the Levites as touching their charge. So this had never been done, but only when the Lord brought Israel into the wilderness, and he set up his church, and he called them a kingdom of priests. Then from among them, he took a tribe and said, this is mine. Now once he got through doing all of that, setting that up, he came with the animal sacrifices, y'all. Let's go to Leviticus 4th chapter. Leviticus 4th chapter. Because all this was in play all the way up until they start asking for a king. Even through the age of the judges, y'all. And we are even still under the Lord's feast. The Levitical priesthood ceased, and we're going to, as we go through the dispensations, we'll show you what happened with that and when that ceased. But Leviticus 4th chapter here, watch this. This is the priest. That's why it's called the book of what? Leviticus. This is what the Levites, as the priests that was taken from among the priests that belonged to the Lord. This is what the Lord had. That's why he had titled this book Levites, because this is what he gave his priests within the priest. Okay, y'all? So Leviticus 4th chapter and verse 1. Leviticus 4 and verse 1. Leviticus 4 and verse 1. Read.
The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning these which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them, and the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring forth his sin which he has sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering.
Also, now we start seeing sin offerings, which means sin is the transgression of God's commandments. That's another excellent definition of what sin is. And the priests in God's church know this. When you go against the commandments of God, that's when you are committing sin. And when you have committed a sin under this dispensation here, he telling them, look, you go to a priest that's anointed, and then let him bring for his sin, which he has sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering. Then watch this. Go ahead.
And he shall bring the bullock unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord, and shall lay his hand upon the bullock's head and kill the bullock before the Lord. Because
he don't want to kill you, because we can read the wages of sin is what? Death. So rather than killing you, he killed this bullock, y'all. It's a constant theme throughout the book. The wages of sin is death. So this bullock died in the place of whoever it was that committed sin. Go ahead.
And the priest that is anointed shall take up the bullock's blood and bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle of the blood 7 times before the Lord, before the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar, of sweet incense before the Lord.
Better that blood than your blood, right? Okay? You rather see that blood than your own blood up there. So this is a shadow of things to come. We're going to see that shortly. Did you finish that, son?
No.
Go ahead.
Before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour all the blood of the bullock at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Now look, let's do this. Let's skip down, because there's a lot here, and I want to kind of get into the next session that follows up. But skip all the way down to verse 13. Verse 13.
And the whole congregation of Israel sinned through ignorance, and the thing he hid from the eyes of the assembly. And they have done somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which should not be done, and are guilty.
So the whole congregation can sin, y'all. And it said sin through ignorance.
Right.
And the things be hid from the eyes of the assembly. Again, everybody don't know everything all the time, y'all. That's why he put this in there. Verse 14.
When the sin which they have sinned against it, it's known.
Oh, now he said, when the sin which they have sinned against it is known, now we got the information, y'all. Now what happens?
Then the congregation shall offer a young bullock for the sin, and bring him before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock before the Lord, and the bullock shall be killed before the Lord. Again,
when sin is present, and you didn't know, they was killing the bullocks, y'all, right? Just to show you, wages of sin is death. You see, this is the last one. I want to go in. Now skip down in this whole chapter. Go all the way down to verse 32. Make sure you got that right. Start at 27.
And if any one of the common people sin through ignorance, while he doeth somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, and be guilty, or if his sins which he has sinned come to his knowledge, then he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goat, a female without blemish for his sin which he has sinned. And he should lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering and slay the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering.
See, instead of him dying, this lamb, the goat died in place of the person. Go ahead.
And the priest shall take of the blood thereof with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering. And he shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat thereof, as the fat is taken away from off the sacrifice of the peace offering. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar for a sweet savor unto the Lord, and the priest shall make an atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him.
See, and this is the process to be what? Forgiven. This didn't exist under Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This only existed when the Lord set up his church in the wilderness. So I just want to go through all of that so we can understand why. But let's go to Hebrews 10th chapter right quick. Hebrews 10th chapter. Because all that was temporary, y'all. Hebrews 10:1. Read.
For the law having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they have offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscious of sins.
Now look, this, what we just got through reading in Leviticus 4th chapter, this is what 10th chapter, Hebrews verses 1 through 8 is talking about. Just wanted to make sure we kind of hit that, because we got the people hard to understand what law was done away with. Okay, so under that dispensation when Moses came, that law had came under, and it was taken away by Jesus. But I'm going to continue going on and maintaining this dispensation under Moses to the age of the kings. So with that being said, let's do ourselves a favor and let's go to 1 Samuel 9 and 15. 1 Samuel 9 and 15. Actually, 1 Samuel 8 and 6, sorry. 1 Samuel 8 and 6. Because Israel has been under all of that, all through the wilderness, all the way through Joshua, and then all the way down. Now, that's why I got this chart up here. So Israel, when they came out about 1500, after they came out about what's this, about 1600 AD, BC rather, all the way down to, we went through Joshua and the Judges, Ruth. This is before the kings. This is coming up when we had kings. And the kings didn't start coming up to about 1050, y'all. So that's about 600 years before they start getting the king, y'all. Because the first king being Saul, and all the way from when Moses brought Israel out of Egypt, yeah, that's about 400 years, y'all. 400 years when they started out with 40 years in the wilderness, and then Joshua brought out, that's why you had the book of Joshua. And then you had the book of Judges. Now let's go to 1 Samuel 8 and 6. 1 Samuel 8 chapter and verse 6. Because they had judges. Now watch Israel going to start doing something very, very interesting. 1 Samuel 8 chapter and verse, actually we start at verse 1. First Samuel 8 and 1, that we can skip down. Read.
And it come to pass, when Samuel was old, and he made his sons judges over Israel.
Now this is all the way down to about 400 years later, y'all. All the way down. It's a long ways down, y'all, from the time they came out the wilderness. Because they had judges to rule over Israel. So it said, and it came to pass that when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Go ahead.
And the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second was Abiam. They were judges in Bathsheba. And his sons walked not in his ways.
Oh, but these weren't good judges, y'all. Okay? And his sons walked not in his ways, but go ahead.
But turned aside after lucre, and took bribes and perverted judgment.
See, look, Israel started to revert back to foolishness. And he said, they took bribes and they perverted judgment. Then what happened? Go ahead.
Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons dwell not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations.
Oh, so now Israel want a king now, y'all. So here come the age of the kings, y'all. Go ahead.
But the king displeased Samuel.
But the thing
displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, and they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. See, all the time the Lord was reigning over Israel, but that's why he set his church up, gave his laws and his statutes, set up his judges, but they have not rejected me. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. But go ahead. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I have brought them out of Egypt, even to this day, where they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto. See, look, Israel, and we ain't changed to this day. That's one thing that stayed the same, y'all. Oh, boy. Anyway, we have forsaken our God and served other gods. He says, so they also unto thee. In other words, the priest, he's standing looking at these people, and the Lord is telling them, look, they forsaken me, they're going to forsake you, man. That's why my brother come to me, hey, he was with us this year, now he gone. Look, what am I? Well, I'm greater than God.
Amen.
Child, please. I know brothers gonna go on their own thing. Hey, I'm gonna stay on book. The ones that's on book, they still remain. They still tight. They still book right. Anyway, go ahead.
Now therefore hearken unto their voice. Howbeit yet protest.
Solomon, he said, protest serious until. Look, I'm gonna protest on you seriously. Why? Go ahead. Until them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. See, now he said, I'm going to show you the manner of the king that shall reign over them. So now the Lord bring them to the kings. The age of the kings, y'all. Go ahead. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you.
He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen. And some shall run before his chariots. So now he tells us this is the manner of the king. So the king has the autonomy to take the sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. Go ahead. And he will appoint him captains over thousands, and captains over 50, and will set them to ear his ground. In other words, they listen. They're the ground. These are his lookouts. Okay? His foot soldiers. Go ahead. And to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, to be cooks, and to be bakers. So now the king had confectionaries. That's making desserts like cakes. I like banana pudding in particular. Anyway, rice pudding, you know, apple pies and all of that. That's what confectionery is. That's a fancy word for desserts, y'all. Okay, and he said, this is your daughters to be confectionaries and to be what? Cooks. And to be what? Bakers. So it wasn't just the men. The priest did the animal sacrifices. But guess what? Outside of that, that ain't the only sacrifice of burnt offerings and all. That's why at the Lord's feast, you had burnt offerings. What you think that is? And we read this stuff right here, y'all. Go ahead, verse 14. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your manservants and your maidservants and your goodliest young men and your asses and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because your king which ye shall have chosen you. And the Lord would not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel. And they said, nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us, and go out before us, and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, go ye every man unto his city. So now the process of getting a king had begun. Now they get ready to enter into another dispensation where you got to have a king that they can see. Israel want a king they can see, not that they can't see. That's been our people, y'all. But I want to go to 1 Samuel 9 and 15. And let's look at when we get our first king. Because we got our kings that came into existence, Saul. We got Saul, David, and Solomon. Saul, David, and Solomon. Saul approximately 1050 BC to 1010 BC. David from 1010 BC to 970 BC. 970 BC to 930 is when Solomon reigned. That's under the United Kingdom, y'all. That's when the kingdom was united. So now, this week is 1 Samuel 9 and 15. First Samuel 9 and verse 15, because the Lord is getting ready to set this thing up with the king, concerning the king. Read. And they went up and 1 Samuel 9 and 15. Now the Lord had told Samuel in his ear a day before Saul came, saying, tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be a captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry is come unto me. So now we see the Lord's getting ready to select this king, make sure the king is straight, and I'm just cutting right to the point. I know there's a couple of things in there, events that occurred, but we're headed for the age of the king. We're looking at the dispensations, and we're seeing that Saul is getting ready to be selected. But look how the Lord did it, y'all. Watch how he did it. Go ahead. And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, behold, the man whom I expect to be of, this thing shall reign over my people.
So this man shall reign over my people. This was Saul became, we'll see. Go ahead, let the book speak.
Then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate and said, Tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. And Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me unto the high place, for ye shall eat with me today and tomorrow. I will let thee go, and will tell thee all that is in thy heart.
Now look, let's go furthermore, look at when he actually became king by going to 1 Samuel 11 and 12. God has selected this man, and watch this, y'all. 1 Samuel 11th chapter and verse 12. Read.
And the people said unto Samuel, who was that said, Shall Saul reign over us?
So they said, the people said, wait a minute now, shall Saul reign over us? Go ahead.
Bring the men that we may put them to death. And Saul said, There shall not a man be put to death this day, but to the day the Lord hath brought salvation in Israel. Then said to the people, Come.
Then said Samuel.
Then said Samuel to the people, Come, and let us go to Gilgal, and renew the kingdom.
Also, the kingdom is being renewed, huh? So they get ready to enter to an age that had never existed before. Go ahead.
And all the people went to Gilgal, and there they made Saul king before the Lord in Gilgal. And there they sacrifices of peace offerings before the Lord. And there Saul and all the men of Israel rejoiced greatly.
So here we see a new age coming into them. They had their first king was Saul, and he said all the people went to Gilgal, and there they made Saul king before the Lord. And where? Gilgal. And they sacrifices of peace offering before the Lord, and there Saul and all the men of Israel rejoiced greatly. Now let's do this, y'all. Let's go to move on. I'm gonna move on to the reign of the kings in this dispensation. Let's go to 1 Samuel 12 and 1. Now we're going to enter into the age of the kings. This is the 5th dispensation. And we're going there, 1 Samuel 12 and verse 1. 1 Samuel 12 and verse 1. 1 Samuel 12 and verse 1. Now from this dispensation, the age of the kings, it was all united, it was one. It was one kingdom. 12 tribes of Israel all stood together, and we went from being united to guess what? As a division of the kingdom. You had Judah, which ended up having Benjamin with them, and then you had the additional 10 tribes that became known as the southern kingdom. Matter of fact, let me put this up right quick. Well, no, let me get ready to put this up. I just want to get this set. Because once we read this, and then we're going to get to the division of the kingdom. Read 1 Samuel 12:1.
And Samuel said unto all Israel, Behold, I have hearkened unto your voice, and all that ye said unto me, and have made a king over you. And now, behold, the king walketh before you, and I am old and gray-headed, and behold, my sons are with you, and I have walked before you from my childhood unto this day. Before here I am witness against me before the Lord, and before his anointed, whose ox have I taken, or whose ass have I taken, or whom have I defrauded, whom have I oppressed, or of whose hand have I received my bride to blind any bride to blind my eyes therewith, and I will restore you. And they said, Thou hast not defrauded, nor oppressed us, defrauded us, nor oppressed us, neither hast thou taken aught of any man's hand. And he said unto them, The Lord is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day, that ye have not found aught in my hand. And they answered, He is witness.
Amen. Amen. Now watch this. Now let's go to right before the division, y'all. So what I did, this is the first, under the first king. So now let's go to David, because David came up as king. Let's go to 2 Samuel 5 and 1. 2 Samuel 5 and 1. Second Samuel 5 and 1. We're in the age of the kings, which is the 5th dispensation. I'm sorry, I forgot the mark. This is the 5th dispensation, y'all. We're on the dispensation number 5, the age of the kings. And what we're going to do, we're going to take the age of the kings to the captivity. I'm going to see if I can make it there, y'all, to the captivity. Because what happened with Israel, we had 3 kings. And I'm just show you what each king had that was significant for Israel. And this is really our heightened age that our people really was glorious in our fullness as the children of Israel. This is if you ever want to say there was a good time for being an Israelite, we're reading about it right here. These were the good times, y'all. So right here, 2 Samuel 5 and 1. You know, every kingdom has had its glorious days. We had our glorious days during Saul, David, and Solomon, when the kingdom was united. 2 Samuel 5 and 1. Read.
Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are the bone in thy flesh. Also in time past, when Saul was king over us.
So now we see he said when Saul was king over us. We're not going to go out how Saul got took out. That's another lesson. But it said here, then came all the tribes of Israel to David in Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Also in time past, when Saul was king over us, thou was what?
Thou was he that leadeth out and brought us in Israel. And the Lord said to thee, Thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be a captain over Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel.
So now we're seeing David becoming king. Go ahead.
David was 30 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 40 years.
Yes, sir.
And Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months. And in Jerusalem, he reigned 33 years over all Israel and Judah.
So now he went from Hebron when he was made king to where? To Jerusalem. And they said in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years over all Israel and Judah. So now let's go to Psalms 48 and 1. Psalms 48 chapter and verse 1. And it shows you what happened during the age of the kings. Psalms 48 and verse 1. Psalms 48 and verse 1. And this happened under David. Read.
Great is the Lord, and worthy to be praised in the city of our God, and the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north, the city of the great king.
See, it became the city of the great king, y'all. Zion. We're going to just nail that down right quick a little bit more. Because Jesus even mentioned how Jerusalem is a great city. Let's go to Matthew 5 and 35. Because Jerusalem was not a great city during the days of Moses, was it? No, it was not. It was in the wilderness trying to get to the promised land. So now once the age of the kings came into play, then the city came into play, Jerusalem, a great city. And we're going to Matthew 5 and 35. Actually, let me start at verse 6. 36. 5 and 34, sorry. Matthew 5 and 34, and we read to verse 35. Matthew 5, starting at verse 34. Read.
But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king.
See, Jerusalem, aka called Zion, was the city of the great king. And Jerusalem became very, very important, y'all, as we go down through the dispensations and through the ages, y'all. Show you what I mean. Let's go to Psalms 132. Psalms 132 and verse 11. For the Lord swore unto David, made a promise unto David, that he had made to no one else prior to that. Psalm 132. This is what's significant about this dispensation. Read Psalms 132 in verse 11.
For the Lord has sworn in truth unto David, he will not turn from it. Of the fruit of thy body will I sit upon thy throne.
So the Lord shall I sit on the throne of David. Go ahead.
If thy children will keep my covenants and my testimony, shall I teach them. Their children also shall I. If thy children will keep my covenant and my testimony, that I shall teach them.
Oh, wait a minute. So the Lord got a testimony He's gonna teach. And he said, my covenant. So that means the covenant's already in play. There's a covenant already established. But then he said, and my testimony that I shall teach them. Meaning future tense. Go ahead. Their children what?
Their children shall also sit upon thy throne forevermore.
That's why I like to make the comment, little children. Okay? Little children of what? Of the covenant that the Lord teaches. So that we can sit on his throne. Because why? Why? Look at verse 13.
For the Lord hath chosen Zion. He hath desired it for his habitation.
Yes, sir.
This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it.
Oh, so the Lord will dwell in Zion. Now, at this dispensation, now I'm getting a specific understanding of where the Lord is going to dwell. And he said, this is my rest for a minute. He didn't say that, did he? He said, this is my rest forever. Here will I dwell. So now we crossing into a dispensation that they had known specifically exactly, or it had been revealed, exactly where the Lord is going to dwell in. So now we get specific revelation and knowledge as to where the Lord is going to dwell. He said he's going to dwell in Zion. So now let's look at what he did with Solomon. Let's go to 1 Kings 4 and 29, because that's the next king that came. 1 Kings 4 and 29. 1 Kings 4 and 29. Solomon, the Lord had did something with Solomon that he didn't do with David. First Kings 4 and 29. Read.
And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the sea shore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all children of the east country, and all the wisdom of Egypt, where he was wiser than all men.
Whoa, he had received the wisdom wiser than all men. Go ahead.
For he was wiser than all men, did even the Ezraite, the Heman, and Chalco, and Darda, the sons of Mahal. And his fame was his fame was in all nations round about.
Also, the fame of Solomon through all nations, all the world, have heard of Solomon's wisdom. Go ahead.
And he spake 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. And he spake of trees from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of beasts, and of fowl, and of creeping things, and of fishes.
In other words, his wisdom, his analogies, he used the natural things when he was explaining and revealing his wisdom. You know, you can go and read where he talks about ants in Proverbs. How the ants are, you know, wise people. So that's why you start seeing little animal things appear in Proverbs. Okay? Go ahead.
And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom.
Notice this, his wisdom had been massive, insomuch that they said there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon. Notice, from all kings of the earth. All kings of the earth which had heard of his wisdom, y'all. So now, let's go to the point where they got, let's go to 5 and 1. Let's go right into the 5th chapter.
And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father. For Hiram was ever a lover of David. And Solomon sent Hiram, saying, Thou knowest how that David my father could not build an house unto the name of the Lord his God, for the wars which were about him on every side, until the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurring.
So now this is what they call the epoch of our peace. This is when we reach the peak. No troubles around. Could you imagine living that peaceful, y'all? Just, you know, Israel just enjoying. Anyway, Dad, I start putting y'all in the coma. Y'all imagine that we ain't got no troubles around us. Anyway, Dad, stop daydreaming, y'all. I wish I had been back in those days. No. Anyway, keep going. Oh my God.
And behold, I purpose to build an house unto the name of the Lord, my God. As the Lord spake unto David, my father, saying, Thy son, whom I will set upon thy throne in thy room, he shall build an house unto my name. Now therefore commanded thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servants shall be with thy servants. And unto thee will I give hire for thy servants according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew timber like unto the Sidonians.
So now look, let's go and keep it pushing, y'all. To the 9th chapter. 9th chapter, verse 1. Again, we on the dispensation of the kings. This is why they was united. This is why we have our epoch, or our most blissful time as the children of Israel, y'all. As united in one. United as one. So now, read 1 Kings 9 and 1. Because there was a prayer that was made in 1 Kings 8 chapter. I'm going to bypass that intentionally because we're looking at dispensations, not the prayer. But come on.
And it came to pass when Solomon had finished the building of the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all Solomon's desire which he had pleased to do, that the Lord appeared to Solomon the second time, as he had appeared unto him at Gibeon. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed this house, which thou hast built, to put my name there forever. My eyes and mine heart shall be there perpetually.
See, that's why we pray toward Jerusalem, y'all, because the Lord said his eyes and his heart shall be there for a moment. Now, it said perpetually. That means without end. Go ahead.
And if thou wilt walk before me, as David thy father walked, and in integrity of heart, and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever.
How long?
Forever.
Forever. Go ahead.
As I promised to David thy father, saying, there should not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel.
Uh-huh.
But if ye shall at all turn from following me, ye or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes, which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name will I cast out of my sight. And Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people.
Anyway, so we see why we here the way we are here. Okay? Because we did. He said, but if you will turn from following me, ye and your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, and go and serve other gods and worship them, well, here we are, y'all. Okay? So this is all this had occurred all this time up until this point. Now what I'm going to do is go to, skip down to verse 12. Yeah, skip down to verse 12.
And Hiram came out of Tubby to see the cities which Solomon had given him.
Hold on. No, we need to go, we need to go to 2 Kings. We need to go to 2 Kings. 2 Kings 17. 2 Kings 17. We're going to close out with, on this dispensation. We're going to see what happened. Did Israel pay attention? Did we keep the commandments of God? What happened? Let's go to 2 Kings 17 and verse 1. So make sure I need to point out. Okay, sorry, I omitted something. I'm going to go to the dividing of the tribes before we get to that. The dividing of the tribes. Let's go to 1 Kings 11:29. My bad. I'm leapfrogging. We got to go to the dividing of the tribes. 1 Kings 11:29. Because Israel didn't pay attention, but the Lord did something here for a purpose of, really for the purpose of Jesus coming. That's why the Lord swore to David, I'm going to sit on your throne, David. But the Lord had to use a process. And here, look at 1 Kings 11 and 29. We're going to 1 Kings 11 and 29. Because Israel had fell off the wagon. And this what happened, right? 1 Kings 11:29. Read.
And it came to pass at the time where Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he said, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces.
Now he took this new garment that was on him, and he tore it into what? 12 pieces, representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Go ahead.
And he said to Jeroboam, take ye 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. So now Solomon didn't obey. We can go read the story, these women, he started, all of these women, then he started loving strange women, and they took his heart away. And I understand clearly, and it's a note to us, no matter how much wisdom we get, amen, no matter how good it gets, guess what? You always got to follow, and that's what Solomon's problem. He fell for these strange women. That's what took him out. No matter how mighty, you got to fall on you somewhere. And that's what got to Solomon. That's why this is written, because Solomon did not continue therein, and his heart turned from the Lord. We could go read that, but I'm just maintaining our disposition, because that's the title of the lesson. The dispositions of the Holy Dispensations of the Holy Bible, part 2. So now, because of what Solomon did, he told Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus said the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of Solomon's hand, and will give 10 tribes to thee. Go ahead. But he shall have 1 tribe for my 7 days.
Yes, sir.
And for Jerusalem's sake,
yes, sir.
the city which I have chosen out of the tribes of Israel, because
out of all the tribes
of Israel, because that they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Shemash, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in my eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father. Howbeit I will not take the whole kingdom of his hand,
out of his
hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for David my servant's sake, whom I choose, because he kept my commandments and my statutes. I will take the kingdom out of his hand, out of his son's hand,
yes,
and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes.
Even 10 tribes. Go ahead.
And unto his son will I give one tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there.
See, look, and go ahead. And I will take thee. Go ahead.
And I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all that thy soul desireth, and shall be king over Israel.
There go the division, y'all. The kingdom went woo. That's when it started, the division with Israel. Okay. That's when the division came in. So now let's skip down. Let's go to we're down to 12. Make sure I get that right. Okay. So now let's go down to verse 4. Skip down to verse 4. Yeah, same chapter. Skip down to verse 4.
Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam. Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam. And Jeroboam arose and fled to Egypt unto Shishak, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon.
See, look, he had to go there until the death of who? Solomon. And that's when the kingdom was divided. So that's the end of the dispensation that we had when we was ruling and we was in our land and we was all united, and then it got divided. You had 10 tribes under Jeroboam, and you had, David had, the others had the tribe of Judah, and later on you read Benjamin came upon the Judah. That's why Paul was a Benjamite in the land of Jerusalem in the southern kingdom. So just to recap right quick, because this is what the land looked like. Let me bring this up. This is what the land looked like when it got divided. You had the northern kingdom, this is what Jeroboam ruled over, and then you had the southern kingdom that's why it's called Judah, the kingdom of Judah. So you had the kingdom of Israel to the north and the kingdom of Judah to the south. So that's what I want to leave it at right now at the end of the 5th dispensation and the beginning of the 6th dispensation. Because from this point forward is where we're going to pick it up next week in part 3, okay? So now we just come out of dispensation number 6 and we headed to the captivity of Jerusalem unto the ministry of Jesus, y'all. So, hope you got some understanding about dispensation number 4, 5, especially for dispensation number 4 and dispensation number 5.